Hello, beloveds. How is everyone today? How was your day yesterday? Is it better today? I hope so. Well, as you already know, this is noteworthy. Coming with your love affirmation for the day. And today's love affirmation this is pretty. Looks a little bit like organized chaos, if there's such a thing. It's I surge on the uprising wave of love. I surge on the uprising wave of love. My first impression is organized chaos. Inner, outer. Inner, outer beings, feelings. Balance. I surge on the uprising wave of love. It looks like she's entangled in the wave, transforming. Sort of like a eye of a storm or a rinse cycle. Flutterings, cycles, emotions of cycles. And in the distance, there's other forms of life in the distance. Losing oneself. I surge on the uprising wave of love. I surge on the uprising wave of love. This is going to be interesting. It's a nice day, it's breezy, it's cool. I'm sort of quiet today. Today's a still day for me. Take my Band-Aid off, let the air out. Got a boo-boo yesterday. Okay. Ooh, this is only real quick poem. I surge on the uprising wave of love. My life can be summed up in three accounts. I was raw, I was cooked, and I was burned. Ooh, that sounds like something I would say. My life can be summed up in three accounts. I was raw, I was cooked, and I was burned. I'm almost challenged to find a different three accounts. But I digress. I surge on the uprising wave of love. No gravity can stop me from rising. The moon pulls the tide of life towards her, and my soul, in oneness with all of life, answers her call. A wave of love consumes me, and upwards I fly, flying through water to greet her shining body. Led by my heart, my wits are addled, and my mind becomes a blurry mess. And so I feel the truth of her love and the divine reflections she shines back at me from her radiant heart. For some reason, I'm feeling like this is speaking of the confusion of a first appearance, or yeah. I surge on the uprising wave of love. No gravity can stop me from rising. The moon pulls the tide of life towards her, and my soul in oneness with all of life answers her call. A wave of love consumes me, and upwards I fly, flying through water to greet her shining body. Led by my heart, my wits are addled, and my mind becomes a blurry mess. And so I feel the truth of her love and the divine reflections she shines back at me from her radiant heart. Yeah. It's like I'm being put in a mind frame of when you first meet somebody, and the saying, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So what do you do when the first impression is misinterpreted or not well understood or read? Okay, greater forces of planetary movements affect us all. We experience day and night through the interplay of the earth, sun, and moon. This is a profound and obvious effect. The movements of the cosmos affect us deeply, body and soul. Some movements are perhaps less obvious in form, but are just as great, if not more so, in effect upon our spiritual growth and life experiences. You are going through a cycle, or very soon will be, by which you will be moved by forces greater than your own personal will. This is a karmic period, a time during which the movements of greater planetary bodies will have an impact upon the earth and humanity. This is the way of things, greater cycles affecting smaller ones. The smaller ones are not less important, but they do have to bow to the power of the great, in oneness with the magnificent unfolding divinity that is life itself. What we always have at our disposal is choice as to how we respond to these affecting movements and cycles. The effect of this karmic cycle now unfolding in your life is to bring you into sweet surrender and awakening into greater love. Okay, what a delicious divine destiny. However, even if we sense at one level that a shift has a positive end in store for us, we can encounter resistance and fear, born of the ego, in response to the stirring of spiritual uprising. We may quake in our holy body and wonder if everything is getting out of control and into some disorder. Okay, control chaos. We will be right in our sense of imminent chaos. The disorder, however, is the ego perspective because its range of vision is too small, too limited, too to comprehend the greater workings of the planetary system that move life towards love. That is as it should be. The teacup is not made to hold the ocean, just actually a cup of tea. But if we begin to imagine that the cup of tea is preferably to the ocean, simply because it is more containable, how much we miss out on. Control, that controlling factor. And how terrifying when we are actually thrown into the ocean and moved by it, its sheer power, its wild force, and its passionate dance with the moon. Mother might have us fearing the way we mostly will die. Yet the only thing that is dying here and now is your grasp, your attempts at control. Why? Because your heart is more powerful than your fear, and it wants to live in total trusting surrender of the unfoldment of life's genius. It wants to let life happen to it. What a wise intention that is. Okay, so that's a challenge. That's releasing control. That's trusting something out of yourself with all of you. Unlimited. Nothing hidden. All out, open, honest. Which is easy for me to do, to be. It's easy for me to be honest, open, clear. But I fear being misunderstood. I fear being judged. And I fear trusting. I fear trusting more so now because I'm part of me is seeking a partner that I can be just be gentle with, that will be gentle, that will be earnest, will honest, and committed to that honesty and openness. That won't sway in judgment. that won't have judgment, honestly. Yeah. I just don't have any more room for judgment. Um, Balance is important, and I'm tired of skating in the middle, of walking on that little wire, being able to deal with and see, understand the balance between the two, each side, seeing each side. It's like, pick a side already. Just pick a side. Um, Being compromising all the time. And I guess it's hard to have balance and walk in the gray area if you're the only one doing it all the time. Perhaps that's my ism. To be the only one compromising, to be the only one bending and trying to master balance between two things. And rarely, if ever, that's reciprocated. That's my story. So just to be, how did they say it? They want life to happen, just happen to you. Life has already just been happening to me. And releasing control and trust into chaos and a storm. And it's not really chaos and storm. It's releasing control and trusting love. But everybody don't know how to love. Everybody don't know what love is. And you get tired of sticking your feet in the water to see if it's tempered yet, and it's still hot. It's still hot. You don't want it cold. You don't want it hot. You want it just right. This is going to be a challenge. We may quake in our holy body and wonder if everything is getting out of control and into some disorder. Releasing control, trusting we will be right in our sense of imminent chaos. The disorder, however, is the ego perspective because its range of vision is too small, too limited to comprehend the greater workings of the planetary system that move life towards love. That is as it should be. The teacup is not made to hold the ocean, just actually a cup of tea. But if we begin to imagine that the cup of tea is preferable to the ocean simply because it is more containable, how much we miss out on. And this makes me think of why I like to go and sit at the ocean. Because as much as I admire it because it's free. It's uncontrolled. It comes and goes only by the unction of the moon. The winds that blow it, the currents beneath it, whatever phase the moon is in. And in all that vastness of what appears to be free, it still has a limit that it rarely surpasses. It's still the ocean stays where the ocean is supposed to stay, unless something comes and disrupts it and cause it to go outside of its boundaries. But it's such a power. It conforms and fits into anything. It has great weight, great depth. And it doesn't appear to be controlled by anything. And what forces that do control it, man has no power over. It can spit you out or it can gobble you up. And I guess that's something that I admire about the ocean. And as much as I admire it, I also fear it because of those same tendencies and attributes. Okay, let me continue. And how terrifying when we are actually thrown into the ocean and moved by it. Its sheer power, its wild force, and its passionate dance with the Moon Mother might have us fearing that we most certainly will die. Yet the only thing that is dying here and now is your grasp, your attempt at control. Why? Because your heart is more powerful than your fear, and it wants to live in total trusting surrender of the unfoldment of life's genius. It wants to let life happen to you. This will have to be a new version of life happening to me that brings me to bliss. That's what it would have to be. That's what I will receive. Nothing less. What a wise intention that is. It wants to let life happen to it. It wants to let life happen to it. What a wise intention that is. Why seek to impose a smaller and less interesting story upon life when the great master storyteller is weaving a fantastic tale of great love, great adventure, and sublime spiritual success? No, it is wiser, wilder, and more fun to surf the great wave of consciousness, seeking to overtake now. Dive in, beloved. Surge with it. You are being given a gift of grace in this oracle, the promise that you won't drown, and that you will, in fact, be given a glimpse of your own divinity should you choose to accept whatever will be offered to you. Don't try to swim against the tide of your own life's journey. Go with it. The divine is there waiting for you, orchestrating waves upon which you may reach the heavenly shore. Yes, the divine is there waiting for you, waiting on a picnic blanket of fabric of the heavens, with a sacred feast of earthly bounty just now being unpacked in your honor. Get yourself into that ocean and ride those waves to your sacred date with the divine right now. Sweet beloved, surf's up. This oracle comes with a message for you. There are changes happening and they will be out of your control. I already feel that is out of my control. This is because you are ready for accelerated life change. Rather than paddling, you'll be caught up in a wave and moved further, faster. Let yourself surge on with the energy of what is happening, leading with your heart and just going with whatever unfolds. This will bring you the best fortune and open you up to the divine destiny that is your birthright this lifetime. I knew this was going to be peculiar. Today, I think the last 3 days possibly, I've been feeling a little different, almost, almost, almost confused about what I'm feeling, and I'm really confused about how I feel. And the last couple of days, I have had heavy debates. I have had misunderstandings. I have had uh, fluxes in my judgment of what I had already uh, established or decided that I really wanted for myself in life, and what I really wanted to do. But I also feel like it's funny they mentioned a teacup, but you know those things with the water in them, and it's a long square and it just teeters and totters. It never falls, but it just keeps finding its way of balance. It teeters one way and then it balances back and it teeters the other way, and all of this liquid and stuff is inside going back and forth. The motion stays the same, but what's inside doesn't always react the same way with the patterned motion, if I'm making sense to anybody. But today was the first time that I went back to the ocean, and it's been a minute. It's been a while. It used to be a thing that I did every day, every morning. I would go and do one of my cards, have a cup of tea. Speaking of which, I have water on. I would have a cup of tea, do my affirmation, and just people watch. If I felt led to write, I would write, listen to some music, what have you. But today I felt pulled to go. And I was like, oh, I haven't been there in a while. I'm going to go. I'll go. So I went and I stood out on the pier for a little while, and I was watching the birds, and they appeared to be surfing without touching the water. And I was like, oh, wing surfing. Look at the birds. They're wing surfing. They were swimming so close to the waves, and it was real windy today. So it was a lot of movement in the ocean today. And they were flying so close to the water, it looked like at any moment a splash of water would come up and they would lose it. They would crash into the water. But they weren't. They were going with the tide, going with the wave. And first it was 1, then it was 3, then it was 7, then it was, the flock just kept getting bigger and bigger, and they were dipping down in the depths of the wave and coming up when the wave come up. And I was like, wing surfing. Look at the birds wing surfing. And then I come back and get surge upright, and it sort of kind of looked like this picture actually. In the rolls of the waves, they would go down deep into the rolls of the waves, or they would come around the top of the waves, just like she's going in the wave, like she's doing the what do they call that, the trust fall. You see how she's appearing to lean back, like, we're gonna catch you, just trust us and fall. That's sort of explains the mode I'm in. So I went to the beach and I stayed there, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna stay long because I haven't been here in a while, and there's some things I wanted to get back home and get to. And today I just went with the flow. I just trusted my intuition. Whatever I felt led to do, that's what I did. Even if I didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand why I felt drawn to go to the beach today, but I did. I watched the birds surfing. I let the wind blow through my hair and felt the breeze and the smells of the ocean. I enjoyed all of that. And then I was like, okay, today's the first day I'm supposed to start my fast today. I wanted to start the day before the first. And I get in the car, it's time to go. It must have been about an hour, a little over an hour. And while I'm coming home, I get this craving for coffee. Coffee, okay. I mean, I drink it from time to time, but my staple is tea. I was like, okay, where could I go to get a good cup of coffee? I was like, I don't want to go to Dunkin'. I just want to go somewhere and sit down and have a cup of coffee. So I'm thinking of all these places, and then the thought comes to me, nope, you're not going to have just a cup of coffee. You're going to go and have eggs. Okay, I'm going to go and have eggs. Where am I going to go and have eggs? Now, I know where I wanted to go, but where I wanted to go is not what popped up in my head. Another place popped up in my head. So I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to go. I'm just following intuition today, just following instinct. But the whole time today, I have been in a spirit of expectation, expecting something. Like, okay, am I supposed to run into somebody? Am I supposed to do something? I know that when I was heavily involved in the church, usually when stuff like that happened, there was an encounter for me to do something for somebody, or something that I had been tasked with to do. So I was like, okay, maybe it's meant for me to have a conversation with somebody or what have you. So I get to the place, order my my omelet. I have coffee, and the coffee was actually good. It's not usually good at this place, but it was actually good this time. So I'm sitting and I'm drinking my coffee, and when I first come in, these people come behind me and they're like, oh, okay, 3. And no, not 3, just me, 1. She was like, 1? Oh, okay, sometimes that's all you need. I was like, exactly. So I go and I sit, and I'm still like waiting for something to happen. It's like, okay, I don't know what this is about, but I'm going with it. I order my breakfast, and the breakfast comes, and usually I would feel guilty or upset with myself that I didn't follow the plan to start the fast today. But I was like, okay, I just am convinced within myself that this is something I need to do. So I'm going to do it. So I sit and I have breakfast. And I was like, maybe you just need to learn to enjoy your own company. But that's all I do all the time. So I just don't do it in public. I do it at home. So I'm like, okay, that's usually what I do anyway. Just enjoy my own company. I said, okay, whatever it is, Kathy, don't get so wrapped up in your thoughts. Enjoy your day, enjoy your meal, and get on with it. So I sat, I enjoyed my day, my meal, and it was time to go. And whatever I felt led to tip, a specific number came. I tipped a specific number, went out, got into my car, and this older lady seemed to be lost. She was looking around in the parking lot, going back and forth. And I was like, okay, is she lost? Do she need help? And then I heard her fella from the other side of the parking lot calling her, and she could not hear him because she had went so far down the parking lot. And I was like, toot toot, and she turned around and I pointed to him, and she was like, oh, okay. So she just went on to her car, and they got in, and he was huffing and puffing. He was good and angry because she did not see him or know where he was. And I thought it was rather funny. But anyway, that was my morning. And when I came in, all I wanted to do was rest. I just wanted to take a nap. I felt exhausted. And something told me, nope, get up, do your, don't lay down, don't rest, go do your affirmation for the day. And my affirmation for the day is the affirmation of my morning, pretty much. To just let go, just go with the flow. You don't have to have control all the time. You don't have to be in the know. And it seems like just releasing, trusting the process of not planning, of not organizing and constructing, not having to be in the know of things was exhausting, because I'm exhausted from just trusting, from just letting go of what I want to do, for letting go to the flow of things happening, just letting life happen to you. And I guess because early in my life, that was what I did. I just let things happen. And when I did that, it was never good things that happened. It was always controlling things, demeaning things, etc. So now at this stage of life, I'm being summoned to return to that same sense of living, to let things happen. You don't have to be in control of your emotions all the time. You don't have to be in control of where you're going and who you're going with or what you're doing, and knowing and clutching onto life. Just live it. Just trust it. Do the trust fall. Okay, so that's the synopsis of my day thus far. We'll see what the rest of it brings. And I guess that's what I'll be doing from now until I'm not. I'll do it from now until I'm not doing it. Just letting go, trusting. I'll see where it takes me. You never know. So, that's our affirmation of love for the day. I surge on the uprising wave of love. Are you going to surge too? I surge on the uprising wave of love. Let it be. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the future.